something that we've never seen before, right? Including last night with the Warriors and Pacers wins. Road teams are now 5-0 for the first time in NBA history to start the conference semifinals. But for the Warriors, it came at a cost. We start our show with breaking news here. Steph Curry, he exited early in the second quarter last night against the Timberwolves with a hamstring injury, and he didn't return to the game. He played 13 minutes. He scored 13 points in the Warriors' improbable win. He had an MRI this morning on that hamstring. So joining us now with the results of that MRI, our senior NBA insider, Shams Charania. Shams, what can you tell us about Steph's injury here?
Stephen Curry has been diagnosed with a grade 1 left hamstring strain. I'm told he is expected to miss at least a minimum of 1 week. So he's going to be out games 2 through 4 in this Warriors-Minnesota Timberwolves series. And this is the first time, Malika, that Stephen Curry has a muscle strain in his 16-year NBA career. He's missed 245 games over 16 years, but this is the first time with a muscle strain. So he's never been through a rehab quite like this. And as Steve Kerr said last night, hamstrings are tricky. This is something they're going to have to be very careful of. It is positive news overall because he did avoid a grade 2 or grade 3 strain, but this is now going to be several games here that they're going to be playing without Stephen Curry. So Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green, Buddy Hield, they're all going to have another, really more burden on them. And they're 12 days away from game 6, where you could look at as a possible window for Stephen Curry. Yeah,
you see the schedule right here, Shams. If we could bring that back up real quick, Director Matt, the schedule, please. Because between games 5 and game 6, there's a really rare You have multiple days there that you don't see in the second round very often. The Valkyries have their home opener there, so you would think that really extends going back to Chase Center and having a game, the arena be available there. The Warriors are scheduled to speak later in the show, so we'll keep everyone updated in that. Shams, thank you very much. As we come inside our Los Angeles studios here, Shanae, you've had a hamstring injury. What exactly is Steph going to be working through here?
Hamstrings, they don't sound bad, but they are actually very tricky. Trickier than a rolled ankle. A lot of people can play on rolled ankles, but hamstrings, they really inhibit your mobility. Your ability to stride is very difficult because you lift up your leg and you feel it. You feel a pull. And also, I think it's really tough for Steph Curry because he's really predicated a lot of his success on his feet, on his movement. Game 7 versus the Rockets, he ran 1.97 miles, the most of his playoff career. This is affecting Steph Curry's game, his bread and butter. A lot of people think he gets all of his great shots. This is game 7, 0.99 actually. Look, he gets a lot of his shots through his hands, right? His form, no, it's actually his feet, the way he moves. So this is all about, protecting his ability to come back maybe later on, but still hamstrings, don't sleep on them. They're trickier than you think.
We talk about game 7 against the Rockets where he ran so much, but the entire Rockets series, it was such a physical series. I mean, you talk about Steph Curry, it's his running and his sprinting, but it's also his cutting. You see him stop on a dime and then go get a handoff, and then even here with the ball in his hands, all of that is hard on the hamstring. So this injury in particular, like you said, with a rolled ankle, you can tape it up, you can secure it.
Right.
It's hard to do that with a hamstring. You can't just tape it up and keep it solid. You have to have fluidity. You have to be able to move with it. It has to be able to stretch. It has to be able to give. So this is a very tricky injury.
Steph Curry's missed 12 playoff games in his career. The Golden State Warriors are 9-3 in those games, but Kevin Durant's not walking through the door. A prime Klay Thompson isn't walking through the door. But hey, Jimmy Butler and Buddy Hield are. There are still games to be played, and the rest of the Warriors, they had a tall task without Steph Curry, and yet some way, somehow, they found Draymond Wardell Green in this game.
So there's a pin-in screen, right? They are daring this man to shoot, and I feel like Draymond, with his plethora of, experience, he knew that he was going to be open, and he had the mindset. Rudy is literally in the paint, daring you to shoot, and he was ready for the moment.
Draymond Green taking it on himself here without Steph Curry in the lineup, but it would take a little bit of everybody.
Yeah, I mean, this is what the Warriors offense is based off of, right? Spacing, ball movement, cutting, and give Draymond Green credit, not just for the offensive production, but for the emotional regulation, for everything we have seen from Draymond Green. His leadership was huge.
This man went 4 of 6 from three-point range in the first half, and then Buddy Hield, he really picked it up in the third quarter, Shanae.
Yeah, what I love to see from Buddy Hield is that he's doing it in a variety of ways. In previous playoff series, he's been on the bench, I think he makes the most of this moment. You know what? He said, I work too hard to fail, right? He's really confident, and you're seeing it in his shot.
He had 11 points in the third quarter. Going ahead to the fourth here, it was all about playoff Jimmy. This is what you get in Jimmy Butler.
I know we can't sing, but there's a famous song, Closing Time. That's why you have him. You put your chips in the middle of the table to be able to make a trade to help for the non-Steph Curry minutes.
Check out this counter at the bottom of your screen, Andrea. It's because Jimmy Butler scored or assisted on every bucket for Golden State in the fourth quarter of this game.
There's so many things that Jimmy Butler can do. He plays in attack mode. He's always looking to score, but he's also looking to find his teammates. When he's aggressive, it creates opportunities like this one.
The Golden State Warriors, they had 19 points in the fourth quarter, and Jimmy Butler contributed in some way to all of them. The Warriors stepped up in Steph's absence. Let's take a listen to the NBA's new favorite dynamic duo after the game.
It's a privilege for you to do media. Well,
I'm Batman today. I saved the day.
still Robin, yes. And Steph still Batman. Buttered is still who he is.
My name is Buddy.
But that's short for Buttered. You had another good game, man. Except for that stupid thing you did at the beginning of the game when you didn't have on the right shorts.
Jimmy switches out. That's Jimmy's fault.
Okay. You saw what happened when you shot a layup in the first quarter?
This is a point-blank layup.
Smokey Robinson, that's exactly what you did.
We had to make sure he got his joy back. Because somehow he lost his joy. We're not going to say where he lost his joy, but somehow he lost his joy.
Why do you keep doing this? Do you even know what these are called? What are they called?
Two fingers.
Well, the Buddy Butler duo is the duo.
I love it.
We didn't even know
I love
we
it.
needed it.
Get his joy back is my favorite thing. That is my favorite.
So glad. I really am. It's no air quotes needed. I'm so glad that we have them and their post-game pressers. I don't know who's Batman, who's Robin, who's the Green Lantern, but they're going to need to find some way, Alfred, to do it without Steph Curry here. Andrea, they did it in game one, but you have to imagine that the Timberwolves are going to come out with a heck of a punch in game two. What did they find that they can maybe emulate while Steph is out?
Well, a couple of things, right? It's one thing that they continued, right? They didn't necessarily find it, but they continued their offensive fluidity when Steph Curry was off the floor. They accounted 75% of Golden State shots were assisted on in that game, even without Steph Curry. We talked about Jimmy Butler with his assists. 8 Jimmy Butler assists. And I know we show him joking around with Buddy Hield, but he also gets the best out of his teammates. Buddy Hield has a ton of confidence. When we talk about Jimmy Butler, his ability to play make, his ability to score, we have seen him put up big-time numbers. He has put multiple teams on his back. They found Jimmy Butler. They brought Jimmy Butler here to do this, to lead the way when Stephen Curry isn't available, especially. And look at the comparison. When now we're comparing leaders on both sides. I know Ant Edwards might have the edge when it comes to energy and youth, but Jimmy Butler has the edge when it comes to experience. Look at all of these playoff games that Jimmy Butler has been a part of. He knows what it takes to win in the playoffs.
And it's cool to see the moments come full circle because when he was 28, 29, he was wearing a Timberwolves uniform and he was trying to be that top dog, right? Yeah. But now he's coming back, seasoned, 35, a mentor in some ways. You see them laughing on the podium. But I think we can all agree we did not have the Draymond Green offensive game on our bingo card.
Absolutely not.
But we absolutely knew that the defensive game was going to show up and be there. And it's been there the entire postseason because if you look at these numbers with the Golden State when it comes to their wins, they have held their opponents to 92.2 points per game this postseason. That's the best in the NBA. Their defense has been locked in, and that's largely Draymond Green. He is accepting the challenge. We talked about it yesterday. Going up against Rudy Gobert. I love the words that you just said, Andrea Carter. Emotional regulation. He was exactly that, but the surprise is that we got it on both ends. But defensively, this entire Warriors team is just straight up bought in. They took the fight out of probably the team with the most bite in the NBA and the Timberwolves, and I was truly impressed with, okay, you lose Steph. Steph only plays 13 minutes. It does not matter. The core principles on both ends are there, and maybe you look at Jimmy Butler as the offensive leader, but we always have known that Draymond is the one that holds it down defensively.
It feels like Golden State's going to need to figure out a way to win just one game out of the next 4. They need to win one game without Steph Curry out of the next 4, and if they're going to do it, it's going to be behind a defensive effort that holds the Timberwolves to it's like a 95-89 type of brawl.
And that's what they just did. They just did it. Yep.
And they caused the Timberwolves to struggle for a second straight game here. Overall, they've shot 12 of 76, which is 15% from 3 their last 2 outings. That's the worst percentage in NBA playoff history over a 2-game span with a minimum of 50 attempts. Ant was actually surprised about it when R. Dave McMenamin mentioned that statistic.
for a team that was 4th in three-point percentage and 5th, I think, in three-pointers made.
Huh? He said 12 for 70. God damn.
Like, how do you even make sense of it?
You know, that's how I go. You know what I'm saying? You have stretches where you shoot the ball really, really well, and you have stretches where you shoot the ball really, really bad. You just hope the good outweigh the bad.
Well, Anthony Edwards took that feedback and those notes in stride, but Chris Finch, he was slightly less amused.
It starts with Anthony. You know, I thought he struggled early, and then you could just kind of see the light go out a little bit for a while. And then, obviously we had to try to get him going in the second half, but it was one of those games where he kind of came out with a predetermined mindset of what he was trying to do, and just rather than just playing the game that was in front of him. So,
nah. I feel like I played great defense. I just couldn't do nothing on offense. So.
All right. Well, Shanae, did I just say Shanae? I did. It's fine.
I got the vibe.
I went from Chris Finch to Shanae. Shanae, what did you make of Chris Finch calling out Anthony Edwards? I have words. I promise.
No, it's okay. It's here. I absolutely loved it. I loved it. Because when your best player is getting coached the hardest, your team will be successful. And I also like the spirit of this on the week that we celebrate Greg Popovich's coaching career, because he has been one of those guys that sets the standard in coaching your top players the hardest. And we know that Anthony Edwards can respond.
Yeah.
It's not what you do, it's how you do it. He did not have an issue or took issue with the misses, their team going 5 for 29 from 3. It was the fact that they settled. It was the fact that they didn't get downhill. It was the fact that they were not physical. It was the fact that he was not in a stance. You know, the fight factor was missing. And I think he knows how to push a button to turn everybody up. And that's why Ant was not panicking.
Yeah, and I'm actually not mad at Anthony Edwards' response when he talks about, like, he felt like he brought the energy on the defensive end. Where I had an issue was when he said, I couldn't do anything on offense. Because